Welcome to another live episode of Oak and Rock Fatherhood. As always, I am your host, Zachary Small, joined by the co-host, Anthony Migliorino. Anthony, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, Zach? Long time no see.
I'm not going to lie. It was way cooler when I was in your office this morning. We were doing this stuff live together in person, rocking out and creating some content. But I had to come home because my family was here, man. I had to come see him, and that's what Fatherhood's about, being present. Now, today, we run a few panels. Our last two sessions, we had the men from the Fraternity of Excellence, and then we had the men from Dad Twitter. Tonight, we've got some men from the Cigar Lounge, and a few more might be popping in. The cigar room. I keep calling it the Cigar Lounge because whenever I'm hanging out with you guys, I picture them at the lounge. But it's the Cigar Room, run by Justin Copeland and Corey Ragan. And Corey will be hopping on shortly. But we're going to kick it their way real quick. Justin, multiple guests on yours, you on mine, hanging out for a while. Brad, first time, but really rapidly getting to know you. It's going to be a good time. We're going to throw it your way first, Justin. Justin, before we go further, people are like, what the hell is a cigar room? What is the Cigar Room, man? You kicked it off. Hey, Corey's here, so we're going to get him added. We'll get this thing going. So what is the Cigar Room? What led you to creating this? And then how did this whole thing get going, man?
Yeah, so it's kind of like what we were talking about offline is there's not a lot of spaces out there for guys, right? And, Corey and I kind of kick it around. We're both dads. We're both looking to put a message out. For me, it's are we living intentionally? And that intentionality, I'm going to make that a word, is, what are you doing each day to not only make yourself better, but what are you doing to be better for your kids? I've got two boys, right? Each day for me is one of those opportunities to say, am I showing them something that they can utilize tomorrow? And so the more we got to talking about that, it was, man, we need to get guys together. We need to get them in a spot where they feel like they can connect with guys that maybe their friend sets that are tangible, they're just not in the same space. So we got the Cigar Room. It is something that's for anybody, for any man out there that is wanting to make a difference. It's one to latch onto a community of guys that want to make change. That's what we're getting together for. And I can tell you right now, it is absolutely awesome. I wanted to use another word in front of that, but I try to keep it PC for the kids out there listening tonight.
Well, I'll let you know right now, Anthony and I can definitely confirm, the two of us have been in multiple sessions, seeing the guys grow. The best part about that, dude, is when you come back in the next week, you check in, like, hey, man, did you do that thing you said you're going to do? And they're like, oh, not only did I do that, but now I have this idea, and I'm going to go a little bit further with it. And you're like, yes, like that's what it's about, man. And you built that environment for them to have that discussion. And so just to have that, like when we were talking about groups and connecting people, I was like, man, this is another one. This is another group that's just picking it up and running with the football and bringing it down the field, man. And not just your story, but your ability to help these men find their own path in their own story and get that momentum going. It's awesome. But I'm going to throw this one to Corey. So, Corey, as you and Justin are tag teaming this, what brought the two of you together to go forward with saying, you know what? Let's expand this. Let's get some dads together on Saturday mornings, grab a cigar, and have some discussions like men.
Man, honestly, we just saw that pain point. We saw a need for it, and we kind of both vibed on that same level when we got talking to each other. We saw that there's a huge masculinity crisis all around the world. Not only that, but there's a huge dad crisis. And with that said, with it being, kind of centered around fatherhood and things, not that Cigar Room is strictly, limited to fathers, but, Justin and I are both dads ourselves. And it's just the whole kind of stepping into your calling, who you are, your masculine identity. And really, that's all I have to say about it.
It's well said.
Nailed it, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, what's more masculine than being a father? That's going to be my new catchphrase. But raising another human being to be competent, secure, strong, and confident in the world, man, that, to me, that's the ultimate prize, to see what you've built as a father. So that's well said, Corey.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing, though. We're constantly talking about the need for these things to happen, and now it's happening. And I truly believe the apex of masculinity is fatherhood. The foundation is man. Every title comes from that, so that has to be at the bottom. And then from there, you're a lover. That's how you interact with the opposite sex, girlfriend, wife, whatever.
Wait, what?
And then from there, it's fatherhood, man. And that's how that works. So we've got Justin, Corey, you guys tag team it. Brad, you're a member, so you've been in the group. And
I have
with the-
been. I will say I haven't been able to make the cigar rooms recently. So.
I was just gonna say, man, I was like, I've not seen you, but you're rolling with this group, and so therefore, I'm assuming you're in it and somehow connected to this. So, what brought you into this?
I met Justin through the gym that we both work out at.
Nice.
Yeah,
What was that, a spin class or?
it was a real instant connection with Brad at the gym. He spotted me. It was real intimate there for a little bit, but
Nice.
No, I think I first saw Justin through something that the gym had shared, and then I went through and looked at what Justin was doing through the podcast. I have a 25-year history in the broadcast industry, and said, "Hey, this is something I'm really good at. If there's anything I can do to add value to what you're doing, because I believe in what you're doing, please use me as a resource."
That's awesome, man. And so let's bring it full circle. So we're all fathers. We're talking fatherhood, and then we'll do a round robin, except we'll reverse it. Starting with you, Brad.
Okay.
You connected with Justin. You saw what he was talking about. How has that impacted you? And I'm talking tangibly. What has changed since you joined a network and you started thinking like this?
Yeah, going through, and so my initiation is going through his back catalog of these amazing podcast episodes through Living the Intentional Life. Be sure to rate and review that so that he gets the word out to more dads, by the way.
I love when content creators are on here because they know exactly what to say.
Yeah.
Drop the testimonial, drop the review, get that 5-star and boost it.
I love that plug right there.
So the first thing that hit me is that Justin's podcast isn't just for guys. It would empower everyone to be listening to it because it's so tactical. The conversations that happen there, and that's what I just absolutely said, like, dude, whatever you're doing, however I can be a part of it, please let me know. Just wanted to, and out of that, so I have 4 kids. I have 3 daughters. I have one away at college now. She's killing it at Texas State, and my son is about to graduate. And what you hope as a father is that you put all of the values that in the family identity that you and your partner have developed. You hope that they're ready to be out in the world. And yeah, it's made me more aware of conversations that we're having, and be a lot more tactical about, say, hey, what would you do in this situation? And giving them ideas, giving them like, hey, in this family, our family identity looks like this. How would you apply that to that situation?
I like the keywords you use there. This is something I love and hate about whenever I'm streaming with Justin, is the word intentional is in the name of the brand. So when I was about to say living intentionally, but like, I'm trying not to use the same word over and over because it's the intentional life, but it's so perfect, man. It's like a great name. So what changed? What did you start doing more intentionally? You said tactical there. And to me, that's a key word to me, that you're being very specific because you have a goal, which means you've got to take very specific steps to reach the specific goal.
So I think the one of the biggest examples is just the interactions that I'm having with my daughters, the conversations. I don't want to go into the details because I want to be out in the internet for the girls. But just hey, what are you going through right now? How are you facing that? And just being present. You said it before. It's a big deal. That's I feel like I've been a lot more present beyond.
It is a big deal, man. Think about when you were growing up, because I know I think about this all the time, right? There was a point in my life where I was going down the wrong path, and my dad stepped up and he pulled me back into the light, literally, right? He saved me from doing some really bad things. And it wasn't that he forced me or demanded I do it. He came to me and said, hey, man, I'm worried about you, right? I want to have this talk. I want to make sure you're okay. And at that moment, right, that changed a big part of who I was as a man. I understood I didn't have to do it alone. And more important, that's why we're here, right? We understand that as fathers, we have that power. So one, we have to tap into it, right? We have to use it whenever we can. And the second big point of that is we can't abuse that power, right? We can't take it for granted. We can't force our kids to do what we want or be who we want. We have to come to them open, receptive. And that's where the leadership happens, right? That's when our kids are like, yeah, Dad, I'm connected with you now. Where should I go? How should I do it? Help me navigate life.
Yeah, it's good.
So seeing that, passing it to Corey, I have really enjoyed your journey into fatherhood and where you're going with it, because on the cigar room side of the house, we've had a few discussions as to some changes you made, the direction that you're going, the things you're doing. And I talk to Anthony about this all the time. I would actually spoken to Justin too. When you see these men that you're helping, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, that you're creating content and then the guys come back, hey man, you said this and that helped me see it a little differently. And I applied it, and the connection with my kids is so much better, and that the family life is so much better. And the trajectory in my head, like it's like a rocket, man. And like they're going like this, and then you make those adjustments and it's like to brand new heights, dude. And not only are you doing this as a father, but I was watching your video today of you just throwing down on the heavy bag. And I'm like, this guy, you're taking care of you, your family, you're crushing it, dude. And like on all these things, mind, body, spirit. I just love to see that, because when people are feeling down, I'm like, I can't feel down. Look at these dudes. They're doing so much. There's so much good in the world. Why would I sit there and feel bad? I'm like, oh, we're doomed. Fuck no, we're not doomed. I'm rolling with the dudes in the cigar room. Like, I've got that squad over there. I've got my squad. We got all these tribes popping up. Dude, we have a fucking pretty strong resistance. And I just messed up the whole not swearing thing, Justin, so you're free now.
I appreciate that we opened the door on that.
Yeah.
Was that a question for Corey?
Yeah, that was me throwing it to you, Corey. How have
Right,
things changed
Corey.
your way? The changes you've been applying, how's that affected or impacted the family and improved it?
You'll have to be a little patient with me. I'm still getting oriented. I got the times all messed up, so I was literally just in the living room. My whole family was just blasting music. We were dancing together. It was fun. And then I got a text message from Justin. He's like, "Hey, we're going on in 2 minutes." I'm like, fuck. And
Got to keep you on your toes.
Yep, here we are. So yeah, dude, it's exactly like you said. It was like, I don't even know where to start with that. So, I mean, just a year ago, just a few months ago, as far as raising children, my entire perspectives changed, especially, since I discovered this podcast here. And I remember, hell, it was probably 2 years ago, whenever you first started talking about, I think you had like a video on YouTube, Zach, about, why I quit hitting my kids, or why I don't hit my kids. And when I got to be honest, when I first saw it, I was like, what get the hell out of here, dude. And I was just, that was just not my mentality at all. I've never been like one to beat my kids or anything. And, I can probably count on both hands the amount of times total that any of my kids have ever been hit or anything like that. But with that said, there was other methods, manipulation, the boom and dad voice, hell, straight up yelling, just trying to be the dominant force around the house. And just all of this development and everything, it's changed my perspective so much. Just little ways too. Like when it's time for bed, we know it's coming. Start amping them up. I've become a legendary storyteller. Just on the fly. I've got like this cool like Minecraft world Pokemon that I have to, and this is their stuff, and I'm making stories up on the fly, and they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait." And then the nights whenever you probably hear him in the background now.
It's a family-friendly show, man. Have you ever heard Anthony? His dogs make appearances. Sometimes the kids. We're good with family, brother. That's what it's about.
Dude, I've had those times. I was like, what about when they're being stubborn and they don't want to go to bed? I'll just find a better way to do it instead of, the old-fashioned, no, we're going to bed now. Time's up. I'm like, okay, I'll just pick them up, tickle them, or make them fly like Superman. Just completely change the whole thing. It makes it fun. And even to this day, we struggle with the language in the house. How we talk to each other, how we talk to the kids. That's still a shortcoming. I'm by no means imperfect, and my wife Cassie, she's not either. That's like the big thing, because stress gets you, and every life just bundles up and hits you all at once sometimes and catches you off guard. So that's really what we're working on now, and even the little progress that we've made the kids' interactions with each other is night and day. They don't fight nearly as much. Now, it still happens. They still quarrel, but it's nothing like it used to be. So it's a load of fun.
Take the small wins, brother.
A lot of pieces has really started to blossom in the house, and it's an amazing thing.
You know, there's an aspect of that I want to highlight because I want to make sure it wasn't missed. You were doing the things you thought a dad was supposed to do. Dads were the authority. Dads have the booming voice. You were doing it because you cared. You wanted to help your family. Right. And that's something Anthony and I have been running into time after time after time, is that it's not like you're being malicious about it, but it's what you think your job is. And you know what's much more hard, much more difficult, and yet much more masculine? Being able to control that instinct to release pressure and channel and direct that energy into something productive. Instead of bedtime being a disaster and a fight, now it's Pokemon and Minecraft and getting it going. And people are like, oh, Pokemon? Bro, you're connecting with your children in their world. That's the most manly shit a man can do, especially a father. And you're doing it. And people, they have this complex, like you have to project this appearance of authority. I can yell at my kids. Bro, that's fantastic. Come yell at me if you want to be a man. Yell at a man, and that's what a man would do. Cool. Yelling at children, that doesn't make you tough. That's some weak shit. But God, we keep repeating that until some men stand up and they say them, hey, no, I'm done with that. I'm going to connect with my kids. I'm going to raise them up and treat them with respect. So you can demand that from other people as well. And that way they know nobody is allowed to treat them with disrespect. Nobody is allowed to manipulate them. And you're teaching that at such a young age, dude. I cannot wait, next year, the year after, we have like the annual thing, or the next Cigar Room, which is Saturday. So I dropped a thing for people to DM you guys if they wanted to jump on the next one. We'll have the link to their social media below. Make sure you check that out. But you guys, it's like every week, or I guess every other week, we check in. It's like, yeah, dude, a new milestone, a new achievement. And I'm like, dude, Justin, Corey, I'm like, look what you guys freaking did. Like that shit, like I get it. Like through FOE, I get my version of that. And then I see you guys do it with your group. This should be normal. And that's why I love having you guys on, because this discussion is not normal amongst fathers. It's still taboo. And Justin, we connected first. I came on the podcast. We had the discussion. I told you, I was like, this dude is real as shit. I think I told you, I was like, you got to talk to Anthony. You got to talk to Phil Foster. Yeah. I was like, those are the two dudes I roll with. Like, you need to talk to them. And dude, I was just like blown away by your authenticity. You owned your shit. You're like, here's where I am. Here's my mission. I was like, bro, let's fucking go. Here are my rocket boosters. Wherever you want to go, man, I'm on board because it's needed in the world. So can we talk a little bit about your transition to being more intentional, and not literally building the intentional life, but within the family?
Yeah. So, dude, I'm right there with you. I mean, navigating the intentional life has been awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love the name, but I find myself using the word intentional like every other second, and I want to fucking puke. But
I'm glad it's not just me, man.
No, I feel it. I say that to my friends. I'm like, Jesus, if we say this again, I'm going to punch somebody. But no, I mean, look, a year ago, I was taking a look at where things were in my life, and I thought this can't be it. Like, this isn't good enough. It's not good enough for my boys. It's not good enough for myself. I hold myself, a high standard most of the time, and I fall short of it. But what I knew was that, hey, I gotta take control over me. I've got two living legacies that I see every single morning. They've got names. So if I've got two living legacies, I'm immortal, and I need to not live scared. I need to not run scared, because if I'm showing that, if I'm living my life that way and being complacent and flaccid as a man, what are they going to do? Who are their examples that they're drawing from? And as far as, we all talk about this as far as how we treat our kids, and Anthony is freaking fantastic. I was blown away when I sat down with him on the podcast the very first time about his approach to how he manages his children. And from there, I've learned so much about, like, look, what a lot of us do, the way we behave, the way we react to something typically is from something else. Right? There's a deeper rooted cause to why we might be behaving a certain way. And where I'm going with that is I look at my kids and go, they're people just like I am. They've got their hurts. They've got their wants. They've got their fears. They've got their stresses just like I do. So some days they're going to have a bad effing day, and I need to accept that, but I need to find out what the root to that cause is. Not the action itself, not why did you do this, but where is this coming from? And having these open conversations with my boys at 14 and 9 years old, I think that builds that level of trust for them with me. And so that when the things start getting hard in life that they need to come to me, that's the person they're coming to, right? They're coming to me to talk to me about those things. And since we've been doing that, and I've just been much more transparent about myself as a man for them, it's amazing the doors that it's opened up. It's led to sitting down with you, Zac, on multiple occasions, Anthony, now you on multiple occasions, which I need to get you back on the podcast, BTW, to the Cigar Room, right? I mean, these guys that are, FOE, the Cigar Room, these guys want it, and they're making changes in ways that I think we are kind of like ninjas or samurais in the night, man. We're coming and people don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way I fucking see it. And we've got to keep it going. And things like this, the Cigar Room, Fraternity of Excellence, that's that cause, that's that mission statement.
That's good, man. I like the ninja analogy. I felt that when you said that, bro. I seen it. Like, I seen my kids dressed up. We're going to take over the world.
For sure.
But what's cool about this is we do this in private a lot, right? We have the Cigar Room. We have Zooms and FOE, and we talk fatherhood a lot. But to be able to be on this platform and share what you guys just shared, right? The wins, how you're improving your life, and how things are becoming better because you've made a change. And I think a lot of that change, when we get together, we do talk a lot about fatherhood, right? It's a big element. But I would say the biggest part of it is talking about ourselves, right? Improving as men, understanding the situations that we put ourselves in instead of always being reactive, right? We respond. And especially we respond to the people who depend on us, our kids, because they need that from us, right? Other people don't need us to be kind to them. Our kids definitely do. So when you guys share these stories, and like a lot of the men we talk to, they share stories about how things are changing, how their lives are improving. It's all about growth, right? That's what we're after. We're after creating good relationships. And I personally think that if you don't get your fatherhood dialed in, if you're not being a good dad, you can't grow as a man, right? I don't think you can have one without the other, because then you're just selfish, and everything you're doing for you is for you, right? It's my life. And once you have kids, I think for me, that it put it in a complete different perspective. It wasn't, I wanted to be a better man, but I had to do it because somebody was watching me. My kids were holding me accountable. And to me, that's powerful.
Yeah, I got to jump in on that, Anthony, because what I hear whenever we talk about this stuff is our impact versus our intent. And I know every guy in this room and every guy that we speak to, they have the best of intent, but I know I get it wrong all the time with my impact, all the time. My 14-year-old sitting right here, he'd probably say, hell yeah, Dad, you're 100% right. You get it wrong a lot. But the fact of the matter is that we self-evaluate. We look at ourselves and go, today, what is today? Wednesday. How good was I today? What's Thursday going to look like? What am I going to do today that's going to be better for tomorrow? Right. And that can be adjusting the losses. It can be adjusting the things that you didn't get right. And I think that's what I love about you guys. Because I know if Zac, he told me this on the first podcast, it may have been offline. He said, I see you fucking up. Don't think that I won't reach out. Don't think that I won't say something. And how many guys have that, right? And I think it's important to have that so that you can then carry it home and show you, like, if you've got sons, you show your sons, like, these are the guys you need, right? And then if you've got daughters, Brad, these are the kind of men you want to fucking date,
right?
Not these other assholes out here that are just kind of going along with things, right? So that's what I heard with that, Anthony.
Yeah, man, it's important. I just had Zac at my house yesterday and today, right?
I was just going to jump on that.
All right, I'll let you tell the story.
No, go ahead.
No, I like when you say it better.
What's missing?
I'll compliment him. He's fishing for compliments. No, so before I dive onto that, because I completely agree. We do talk a lot, and I think a lot of men talk a lot. But let me pitch this one. I don't ever have a day where I'm wondering about what my purpose is in life. Not 1 minute of any day. And there are a lot of men who are lost in that sauce. And I look at it and I look at my children, and I will never look back and regret the time I spent ensuring I was investing in my children. So I have kids who are the haves and not the ones who are have-nots. I'm looking to put all the time I can into their growth, into their development, as well as my own, because I have to lead by example. And therefore, I don't have time to sit and just pussyfoot around issues. And that's why, like Justin, I was telling you, man, there's too much work to do. We can't be like shifting off course. So again, if I'm going like left and I'm veering off the direct path, bro, I need a man who can jump in. I need you 4 men to be like, yo, Zac, what are you doing? Get your foot back in the gas and get back in the fucking ring. Oh shit, thanks guys. I didn't even realize I was slipping. Boom. Now I'm still a better man, better father because I have people to keep me in check. And a lot of people, they will present a certain image. But to me, it's absolutely necessary that you don't want to appear successful. You want to actualize success. And the best way to do that is to see what's going on, not just on the screen, because I could very easily sit in this office and tell you guys how great of a dad I am, and then walk out of this room and scream at my wife and kids. And you would have no idea. You'd be like, oh, the family alpha, he's a great dad. But then you come to my house and everybody's hiding because I'm a fucking asshole. You know, and that's just not going to work. I'm investing in being a better person. So like you, I've got I've got to sort of lock down the dad voice. That's the thing that slips out of me. There's zero corporal punishment. That never is a thing. But sometimes the voice gets elevated. And just like I'm talking to you now, like I'm pumped about this conversation. And so my voice shows that because I give a fuck. But when I went to Anthony's house, you know, and I was able to not just see him, I've met him multiple times. This is the first time I've seen him with his whole unit. The whole squad was there. I sat down, had an awesome meal, you know, with him, his daughters. I got to see his son was doing a drive-by, gave me a good flex. I got to see him though, but that kid was smiling too. And they were joking around. So even in that moment, I was like, man, like you can't fake that. You can't make that up. That is genuine. And so I sat there with his family and dude, those girls grilled me. So what are you guys doing? What content are you making? What about this? And I was like, well, actually, I'm going to get you on the podcast. Well, what would you ask me? And I fired a bunch of questions and they were like, those are really good questions. And they started thinking about, and dude, we were having genuine discussions and everything was open and they were comfortable talking to me. I was comfortable talking to them. You would not get that in a home where everybody's walking on eggshells, because if they were afraid of saying the wrong thing because they didn't want to make dad look bad, because dad has been like, you have to look a certain way and be a certain way. And you don't have to live it. You just have to look it. I would have been able to pick that up instantly. It's probably my greatest skill is just sitting and reading people. And I was the most comfortable I've ever been just sitting down. I could tell they were just genuinely there. The whole family was living authentically, and that sealed the deal with him. I was like, Anthony, dude, you're doing great, man. Like, what a beautiful family, all these great things. And the same thing with you three. It's like 98% there. We shake hands, 99%. I see you with your family, 100% it's confirmed. You are who you say you are because I see him. But what I like about the way not so much you, Brad, but I'm going to come your way in a second. But I see a lot of content from Justin and Corey. I see a lot of the family. I see, you know, Justin constantly on the walks. I see the photos of Corey with your little one. I see these things and I'm like, all right, look, that's like 99.9. like we're right there. I'm like, yeah, dude, like you're showing it. And people will say, well, you shouldn't use your kids as props in social media. Why should I have to sit and scroll through TikTok and see people twerking? Why should I go on Instagram and see people, you know, half dressed or dudes like constantly flexing, doing all these things, but I can't show a picture of me playing catch with my son? All of a sudden it's off limits. Don't you fucking tell me that families are off limits. Families are exactly what the internet needs more of. Connected families. And if you feel bad about the way these parents are parenting, that's a you problem, because that is a reflection of your poor performance. You're feeling bad that, hey, look at this dad with his kids. Dude, you're telling you haven't spoken to your kids about a damn thing. And Brad, earlier you were saying, you know, you're having better connection and more presence with them. And that's the best present you can give them. And so I wanted to know, when you were going through, you met Justin, you had the discussion, you heard the podcast, did you have to get over any reservation to speak to another dad about these, you know, quote unquote taboo subjects like fatherhood, who you are as a man, how you're doing? Was there a wall you had to break through there? Or was it just, did Justin have a comfortable, quick routine because of the dude that he is?
No, I don't think it was, to be honest, it wasn't because of who or what Justin is, because I'm very involved in the men's group within my church, which is why I can't make the second Saturdays of any month. I'm preparing food for the men's group. And so I don't know that it's it trying to get over that taboo wasn't a thing. And I will say, dude, I'm fallible. I'm still on this road to getting better. Things aren't 100% at home, just to be really frank. But you know, I'm putting in the work.
Amen, brother. That goes for all of us.
Yeah. And hey,
there's no there.
Dude, sharing that, especially in this live setting. I mean, we get this, I'm sure Zac, you guys get it with FOE. We get it in the cigar room. You know, guys open up with things like this, and that's the real shit. Like, that's why when Zac and Anthony talk about authenticity, where else are you coming from if you're not being authentic? Like, if you're showing pictures of your family, What I mean, why not? Like the people that bitch about that stuff, Zach, I guarantee you go in and because I've done it. If they say something that's a negative vibe to that, you go look at their page, and it's last Friday night. I was fucking hammered, half naked, and that's what's being fucking posted. So like that stuff. I mean, you gotta compartmentalize that. But I've had the opportunity to speak with Brad, and he's as genuine as they come. And look, dude, people make you get, like I said, like I get it wrong all the time. None of us on this call are perfect, right? We're all just in different spots. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's where like navigating intentional life, that was kind of the foundation. Like we're all in different spots. It's just where are you going, right? And that's your business. That's your marriage. That's your children. That's your friendships. All of that. Where are you going? You're here now, but where are you going?
What's interesting about it, and Brad, this goes to your point. We've all raised our oldest kid to that day. The next day, it's a new PR. I've never raised a child as old as what my child will be tomorrow. And so that's a new thing I'm learning. A new year. It's a constant new PR we're chasing. So every day is like a reset. And all the things I did, it set us in a good trajectory. But I can break that tomorrow. I could bring that like all the way down. We could crash it if we wanted to, or we could try to elevate it. And how many dads think, oh, it's too far gone, or oh, this is just how it is. And they don't realize tomorrow is another opportunity to change it. Tomorrow you have the power to change the entire trajectory. Corey spoke about it earlier. And so I wish these guys gave themselves a little more credit because you're never out of it. It's never too late. And tomorrow's a new PR for you. Change it. Hit that PR.
Yeah, making the adjustment of being a parent of an adult was a weird shift.
How old is your oldest child?
She is 20 now, and my son just turned 18.
So what was weird about it? Where did you get?
I think it was the realization that now we're officially considered old. But and all I think the biggest thing is, okay, it goes back to what I was saying before. Did we put all of the values? Are they going to run with the identity that we hope that we instilled in them? And I've been watching her as she's just killing it in college. Dean's List, like every semester since she's been in. She's in year 2 now, but she's going to graduate a year early, it looks like.
I took that as it's much more when you start reframing yourself, you start rebuilding that foundation, but you're doing it with somebody who knows a lot of what's going on there. And they've got a lot more history that they've got to like, all right, here's where we're going now. That's interesting because normally we're talking to people, maybe teens and below. So for them to be older like that, you're dealing not quite peers, but I mean, they have a lot more experience though. Not as much as you, obviously, you're the dad, but they've had enough experience where they're starting to make their own decisions independent of you entirely. And so you're now facilitating the discussion instead of leading the discussion. You're kind of just sitting by and watching them go. I'm like, hey, here's some advice here or there. Here's some more intel or information or data points for them to take and then go in their direction that they want to go. I haven't had to face that. I haven't crossed that bridge yet,
Yeah.
You
I think
will
one of the
day.
you keep reminding me. Thank you.
One of the really interesting, so we were able, I was privileged to be able to see my daughter hired on at the studio where I work as a content creator over the summer. And one of the first things that she confided in me is like, I didn't realize until I saw you working, because she's we always go off to work long days, produce videos and everything, and then come back. I would tell her about what would happen during the day or the challenges that we had in this production or whatever, because she's really interested in the things that we do. But having her at the studio creating content, she was writing content for the magazine, the print side of the studio. She confided in me. She's like, I didn't realize how alike you and I are, because we're both very driven. That was a cool.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, my oldest son's 14, so I'm right around the corner. I feel like a sneeze away from him being that age. But and you can tell me and tell us if I'm wrong, but I feel like where you go early is that communication, right? That foundation of communication so that they can have those I mean, my 14-year-old's asking me questions now. I'm not going to tell you what he just asked me the other day because it is a family-friendly podcast, but
Appreciate
dude,
that.
it's getting real. They're turning into adults, man. I'll send you guys a chat real quick on what he asked me. But it changes. And it was a tough adjustment for me from 12 to 14, right? Like he got this attitude. He's taller than me now, so he thinks he's tough. And so Anthony, I body slam him most days. It's changed
In a peaceful way. It's a peaceful body slam.
Very peaceful.
Hey,
he knows.
Listen, man, I'm on the fence if I could take my son still. It's getting to that point.
Yeah. I mean, you got to set that boundary, right? So, it's cool, man. Like I can just say I enjoyed this phase, but it's a weird change. It's a weird shift because they're starting to become, obviously as an adult, they're these young adults and their lives are starting to take off. It's that first chapter for them. And you kind of have to sit back and you have to adjust, right? Parenting is so much about being able to adjust and get a feel for what they're turning into, because these guys say it all the time, like, I dare not make my kids me. That's not my damn goal. Like, I want them to be way better than that and also the best versions of themselves. So I think that shit starts early with how you communicate, what you give to them in authenticity and transparency. So I love that, man. I like to hear that down the road, that it could be even cooler hanging out with my son than it is now.
Well, that's the other side of this, right? We talk a lot about what we do wrong, but when we start to see the good things happening, when we start to see our values show up in our kids, that's what we have to share, right? Those are the wins. That lets us know that we're on the right course. We don't go somewhere and our kids are sitting in a corner in fear. Our kids are out, they're personable, they're confident, they enjoy the company, especially of their parents. So to me, that's a big win. But getting back to what you were just saying, Justin, and I'm sure all of us went through this, right? When you were a teenage boy, think about how many times your life would have changed and I said this earlier, but if your dad just listened, right? If he just took the time out of his life, whether he was working too much or he was angry or he was pissed off at the world, if he just took the time to connect with you. And those are the things that I'm hearing each of you three men share, right? It's about using your time wisely, effectively. And also what you were just saying, that there's points where we're not going to have the right answer. We're not always going to know what to do or what to say. And those are the moments where you're like, I'm going to have to ease back and I'm going to have to see if all my training is actually going to work, and let the kid go out and do what they have to do.
You know what's cool about that? And this goes to Brad's point. When we're talking about our kids being like us, we want that to be a good thing because we want to work on ourselves to be good people. And Brad, like, I'm looking forward to connecting with you after this and getting to know you even better, because hearing about working with the men's group and these things, like, you seem like a cool dude, man. And I'm like, we literally were meeting live, but it's just cool to see you. Like, obviously, when you're vetted by somebody that's inside the bubble of me, I'm like, you're a cool dude. Like, if these two dudes say you're good, because they know exactly like the caliber of the type of people I'm trying to associate myself with. But to Corey, I don't want to throw this one to Corey. You're working your ass off. You are building things up, and I'm not talking just physically, but on the business side of the house, on the family side of the house, you are grinding like a freaking savage. And to see you putting in that effort while being and remaining a present father and a connected husband, and this, I get it. I'm not talking perfection here, but you're doing all of the work and you're putting the reps in, and it doesn't look like you're burning yourself to the ground in the process. Is it tiring? For sure, man. Is it going to lead to some conflict with time management and things like that, dude? 100. Every man here should have lived this. Like, we get it, but you're doing it. And I want to throw your way to see if I'm correct with this. When you are doing that, the work and the process is the fuel when you're seeing the results in the family. You're seeing the connections grow and all that no matter how tired you're like, I can go more, because look at the fruits of this labor. I can keep pushing this plow through this field of getting these fruits out in my business and getting the income going, getting the timing down, getting the family straight and connected. That is the fuel. And guys, it's too much work. It's not. The process is the fuel to keep going, because you see those fruits of connection in the home. And it's beautiful to see that. And I'm using that word specifically. It is a beautiful thing to see you building this in your home And I love the fact that you're sharing that with the world, because it's like a gift to us to see, like, man, there's another guy doing it. So is that accurate, or did I just make all that shit up?
Absolutely, man. So, I mean, it's just like you said, everything is almost like, it's like a positive feedback loop for everything. You know, when I start feeling burnout, especially, you know, on the business end of things, I'm you know, I'm sick and tired of trying to reach out to people, clients, potential clients, things like that. I'm sick and tired of doing math, budgeting, you know, looking at spreadsheets all day. I've just got to look at my kids running around the house. I look at my little 1-year-old daughter running around, and it just, I'm like, I've got to get a better life for these kids, man. You know, I grew up like shit. Peace be up on my mom. She's probably going to watch this. She was awesome. She's a rock star. Still is.
Oak and Rock Fatherhood, breaking apart families one episode at a time.
But yeah, same thing with physical fitness, things like that. Getting shit done. You know, I started boxing a couple months ago. Like, I don't know. I don't really know how to fight. And every guy thinks they know how to fight till it actually happens. You know, I'm not one of those guys that thinks a gun's going to be the answer to every situation, even though I carry one. So I got in the boxing gym, and I can probably hold my own a little bit now, hopefully. But that's for my kids. My sons are watching me. They get in there and they box with me. I post that right there on social media for the world to see. You know, I'm hoping to inspire somebody else. Get your kids involved with you. Same thing with you know, my wife, my marriage. All of this stuff just flows together, and you know, we're constantly reminding each other, and you know, we've got to strive for greatness, and our kids, they're a reflection of that. Yeah, man, totally. I totally agree with you.
I like how you mentioned making the kids a part of it, because that's one thing I've really been trying to push is, even if you're going to the gas station, bring your kids. Tyler Tote, he shared, you know, I had shared that, and he said, you know what, I brought my daughter to the gas station the other day because I had to pick something up. He's like, dude, that was like the best 20 minutes of my day. You know, and she was just talking about how, I guess they were just sharing, I don't remember what they were talking about, but they had a great conversation. And he's like, dude, that happened because you had said bring them. I was like, sure. It's just a little trip, but I'll bring them. The boxing, working out, things like this. I love when I go to the gym and the kids want to go. My son actually, he's like, I want to work out at 5 a.m. I was like, man, I hate morning workouts, but I'm going to do it because as a dad, if your son comes in and says, I want to work out early, 0 dark 30 workouts. All right, boyo, let's do it. I'm not going to say no to that. You want to be a good person? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and facilitate that. I'm going to get my ass awake and we're going to go down there and hit the gym, you know, but they see you embody it. You're embodying the values. You're embodying the morals. You're not just espousing it online for likes. And I love to see that, because in each of these groups, that's something that is forced upon the men who join them. You are accountable. You are forced to do the things you say you want to do, because you know Justin, Corey, Brad, Anthony, somebody's boot's going to come flying your way if you're not doing the things you say you're supposed to be doing, and not in a position of, oh, let me kick you down. It's like, let me kick your ass back into gear. I want to help you. The intent is there to help. It's always to help and boost up. It's never to throw bricks on you, make you sink further. It's one of those things where there are standards. And if you want to be a good dad, there are things you have to do. And one of those is connecting with your children, removing the walls, removing the blocks, removing the anger and violence, and actually getting on their level, entering their world and living in it with them. And that's exactly what you're doing, Corey. So when that shit does get heavier, darker, you're like, fuck, understand you got a lot of dudes watching you and rooting for you.
Thank you. All of you guys, and all the guys that are watching this too. You guys are fucking rock stars.
Can I give you an example of one of those boots?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've been on this weight loss journey, and after the first of the year, got COVID, got over it, went back into the gym, but went way too hard after that, just trying to recover and everything. I don't know if it was intentional, Justin, but dude, I appreciate you checking on me. It wasn't even any kind of, hey, are you good? Or if it was like it was just a DM on Insta saying, hey, I saw that you were sick. Are you better? Are you okay? And so
So what we do.
That's what that looks like.
That's the thing that I love about this group right here with Corey. I mean, I was going to say, to both of you guys, I mean, I met Corey through Twitter, and not to like boost our bromance, but this is the kind of stuff that guys are looking for, that they need, because I can tell you right now, from 6 months ago, following Corey, to what he was doing then to what he's doing now, like I said, I was trying to figure the guy out, because he would comment on some of my stuff, and I'm like, he's got a good head on his shoulders, but I'm not sure really what his skin is in this game at this point. And it's been night and day difference in about a month and a half.
Right there.
What's up?
I said that's one weird motherfucker right there.
I mean, I'd giggle at his stuff, like he's got a good sense of humor, a little perverse, and I'm all about that life. So, it made sense. And so now he's doing what he's doing. And I'm telling you, like, it's powerful to have these guys that will step in and say, hey, let's get you back on track. You're like, what's going on, man? Because this ain't clicking for me now. But to the parenting aspect of that, one thing what Zac was saying that I want people to hear is that connection to your kids. Like, look, it's not some light switch. You do have to proactively and intentionally go after that connection, whether it's Pokemon, whether it's, sometimes the video games, whether it's a TV show, whether it's, some sport that you've never played, but they're into, right? You get your ass out there and you do it, right? You create that connection through your action. Right. And without that, you got these parents like, I don't know how to relate. That's on you, motherfucker. Like, if you can't relate, that's on you. Shut the fuck up and figure it out. Listen to these guys. Like, it's all right there. It's how you utilize it.
No, Justin, that's a good point, because we have these groups, we talk to other men and we try to help each other out. So what, the intent is to become a better man, right? To raise the bar so we can be around other men who are working on the same mission. But I think an important element to that, and we miss it sometimes, what we're really doing is we're facilitating these actions that are going to help our kids relate, right? We're going to be able to relate to our kids because we're putting it out there with other men. So now we go home and we have all this wonder, right? This creativity and this enjoyment that we're like, hey, I was actually able to speak up and say what I'm about. And I had other men say, hey, man, I'm here to help you. If you need, here's a rope. We go home and now we're strong enough where we can afford that same value to our kids. So instead of getting stressed out when our kids are down, we could say, I'm strong enough, right? This is stuff that we talk about all the time. This is what we're doing. This is the lives we're living. You go into your home, things are chaotic, things are a mess, because that's how kids operate. And we're able to handle it. We're able to see it for what it is, right? It's something we need to step into, and we need to be prepared to combat that, right? To help our kids, to help them grow, to push them forward instead of pushing them down. And I think that's exactly what these groups produce, right? Being around other good men who are on a similar mission. Those are the values we pass down.
Yeah, well, think about what you're saying there. When each of us end this call and go to our family, we are now carrying the strength, power, and energy of 4 other dudes inside of our head. It's not just Anthony. It's Anthony, Zac, Justin, Corey, Brad. And so when you're talking to him, you don't say, well, Corey said this, or hey, Brad made this. You just say the thing. You say, hey, I need to check in on people. Let me check in these guys. Because when you said that, Brad, I'm like, dude, there's probably some people I could check in on, see how they're doing, And to Corey's point, as you're going through, like, whenever I'm tired, I'm like, man, Corey's out there getting after it. There's no way in hell I'm going to be like, oh, it's too hard. I see you dudes, and I don't tell you. I just think of you. But it's because we're in the group that we carry that. And, there's something interesting, and maybe this is a little bit fucking brutally honest, but there are some dudes who say they want it, and they don't. There are some dads who will watch this. I want what you have. Okay. Check out what we're doing. Well, I'm not going to pay for friendship. Okay, dude, don't join FOE. Cigar Room, it's free. Well, Saturday mornings don't work for me. Okay, dude, go to church. Find your church group. Brad is just talking to him. He's got a men's group. All the men in my group are weak. Okay, dude, go on dad's Twitter. I don't use social media. Motherfucker, you've got to give somewhere. At some point, you have to give and say, you know what? I'm going to change a little something, or maybe inconvenience myself to go into this and connect. Because whatever the inconvenience is, I guarantee if you connect to a group of driven men, you are going to take back 1,000-fold whatever it is you had to give up. You know, if you have to wake up a little early to get on the cigar room, fucking do that. It's not supposed to be easy. Do the work, man. It's supposed to be a little uncomfortable, just like going to the gym or doing anything else. You know, Anthony, you said a great thing, and I don't know if we released the video or it's one coming out. I mean, he said, you know, on your workout journey, that first salad and grilled chicken, that doesn't get you jacked. Showing up, that one conversation you had with those dudes on Dad Twitter or on this call or wherever, that's not what's going to get you connected. It's the second one, the third one, the fifth one. 6 months in a cigar room and you start showing real results. 6 months of real concerted effort. You start to see the big gains in the gym. The fat loss starts melting down. This isn't a one and done thing. This is rep after rep. And what you find out as you're putting in those reps, dude, I can call these men 1 a.m. Guys, I'm fucked up. Something's wrong. I need to talk to a man. You have genuine relationships because those men watch you do the work and now they're invested in you. And that's what I was saying about Corey, just watching him put those reps in, and especially Justin, because he has that same like fucking energy. Like I dig it. I'm like, dude, that he gets kind of how I see things. Like, it's like we're looking through the same lens, you know? And so I'm just like, yeah, like we fucking get it. I mean, Anthony and I literally, and this is gay as shit, but we were talking like there were like 10 times during our last episode that we said the same thing. Like we were like literally just completing each other's sentences. I'm like, bro, like come on, man. We moved from the north, man. We can't be Massachusetts. Like
I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
I did. And it's on the video. So when we play them, people are like, hey, look at those guys. Hey, you want to finish each other's sentence? But dude, you make those connections to where you can joke around, you can talk shit. And it's not this little PC world you're living in. You can be honest. And like, hey, dude, you're jacked up. Like, unfuck yourself, please. And they come back, hey, bro, look at you. I'm like, fuck. It's good to be able to take an insult or a jab without taking it personally. You learn how to be a man with men again. And those reps that you put in, it's a good time. Like the banter, it is the growth. You know, inconveniencing yourself a little bit is kind of the skin in the game that you're putting there. And I think it was Justin talking about that. You know, what skin in the game to Corey? Like, what are you doing? And, you know, whether that's paying for a membership to a community, waking up early to jump on, or going to a group that you might not know anybody and get to know them and start joining. And so the church group, Cigar Room, Dad Twitter, freaking Order of Man, obviously Fraternity of Excellence. I mean, these things are everywhere. Find one and just go. Stop saying that you don't have the resources or the ability or the time. You do. It's just not a priority. And that's fucked up because it's what you're saying is your kids aren't a priority. That's where that ultimately ends up. They're not worth your time. And that's the truth, man. And it sucks because it's the reality for many.
So why do you think, Zach, that most men won't go that route? Do you think that they're really lazy, or do you think it's more of a fear thing, right? They don't want to put themselves in an uncomfortable spot.
I would say it's a combination of the two, but I mean, ultimately it's a priority thing. The kids are going to be fine. If I hit them, they'll be fine. They're going to turn out better. They don't see a problem. They don't see the issue because they're so far removed from what feeling good is like. It's like those who have like jacked up hormones. They forget that you're not supposed to feel like crap every day. They think that's how their house is supposed to operate. You're supposed to yell at your kids and be screaming. It's like marriages. You're supposed to get fat and not have sex anymore. Like this is the new normal. And these guys don't realize there's a problem there. And that's why I'm banging the fucking drum as loud as I can on all my platforms. Like there's a better way to live. You could still be dating your wife 2 decades into the relationship. You could be having a blast with your kids, whether they're toddlers or 20 years old, 18. To me, it's about getting the best of every aspect of my life. The best body, the best mind, the best connection to you, gents. We're doing it right now. I don't wake up again. I don't have that wonder of like, what is my purpose here? Why am I on this earth? I can't wait to die.
He wakes up just like this. I can guarantee.
I saw him this morning. I really did.
No, and I think an important element to that, and something we might be missing, is we can't really help anybody, right? We're here doing what we do. It starts with the individual man. He has to make the first step. Like you 3 men came on here today. It might be uncomfortable. It might be something you're not used to, but there is a little bit of growth there, right? And the next time you do it, and the next time, and these are the reps we get in. And the more that you can accept that, right? The more that you get comfortable doing uncomfortable shit, you start helping other men, right? And it keeps growing. And I think that's what Zach was talking about. You have to be willing to take that first step. If we're going to say that we're men, that we're strong and we're powerful, get on a Zoom, get on a conversation, talk to men about being a dad, being a father, talk about marriage, talk about how you can improve. don't be afraid of it, right? It's not going to go away. It's not going to fix itself. So you do have to take the first step.
That's one of the best pieces of advice I got for the short amount of time that I spent in college. A professor said, hey, whatever it is, you got to take the first step, right? It's that. But here's my thing to that. I'm going to unlayer that. I think a lot of men are full of shit. And that they are in love with the idea of something, but they're not in love with the process. I've been there, right? Now, I can say, honestly, my whole life has been a lot different in that, man, I like doing cool shit. So I want to go out. I want to join the military. I want to travel. I want to do these things. So I'm going to go do it. You know, I mean, it's that simple in my mind. But for the most part, when it comes to taking the first step, well, the first step in change, Zac didn't call me and say, hey, man, I don't know you, but you should do a podcast. Hey, man, you should write. Nobody called me and asked me to do that. You know, and I've said it numerous times. Like, I thought people were going to take me as a joke, and maybe they do. But at this point, I don't give a shit. But now it's in a different capacity because I've got 2 living legacies that I need to look after. And what I'm doing right now will be something they echo for the next 50, 60, 70 years. And so that's the way I look at it. That's how I see it. And that's why, again, I stole that from Matthew McConaughey on Ryan Mickler's podcast when he said, if I've got 2 living legacies, what do I have to be afraid of? That resonated with me. That's another dude speaking about being a dude and being a dad. And I sure as shit took from it. And I think guys miss that. We want to pretend like we've got it all figured out. We want to pretend like we're in the right path and we're under control. Not all the time, but once you get moving, and Brad knows this, like, look, you're on a tough journey in the fitness aspect of it, man. You've got a lot of work you're wanting to do. It's not easy, but it is day in, day out commitment to that process, and you're doing it. I can't make you do it, to Anthony's point, to Zac's point. I can want you to, but I can't make you. You have to. You have to want to. And I think that's what a lot of guys miss. They're full of shit. They don't want to do the work. And I'll say it like that. Like, and again, as a guy, Zac said it best. I love this dude. Like, men have forgotten how to talk to each other. You know, in the last cigar room, Jerry was in there. And what do? We're like, man, you're best friends with Moses. We're giving him shit. You know, give him a hard time about his age. But that's what guys do, right? We build each other. We test each other through that aspect. And I think guys nowadays, they've forgotten what that looks like and what that sounds like and what that feels like. And so I think that's something that we're all trying to recapture through just who we are, but also for our children. Yeah,
and I would say I don't think they forgot what it's supposed to be like, Justin. I don't think they ever really knew. It was never shown to them, right? They weren't grown up with it. So that's another part of why I parent the way I do. Like, I know my kids aren't going to miss out on that. I know they're going to live it. It's going to be part of their life because I'm doing it, right? I'm living intentionally. I'm doing it in my own life. And so that, I think that breaks down a lot of the fear that dads have, and that will reduce a lot of the bad parenting that we see, right? If you can be confident in who you are and what you're doing, it's not going to be projected onto your kids. Instead, you're going to see your kids in a different light. Like you just said, I have 2 legacies, 2 living legacies that are going to pass on after me. So once you know that, man, it's almost like you can rest, right? And not rest where you're not doing any work, but rest knowing that, man, I'm on the right path, right? I need to keep going forward.
Well, your fuel is the desire of growth and not the fear of failure. That's a totally different, that's a reframe. You're not afraid for your kids. Like Justin was saying, if he didn't shoot the DM and say, hey man, dig what you're doing. Like, this is cool. And I looked back, I'm like, oh, I like what you're doing too. That's kind of like you took off from there. How could he tell his kid, hey, just go talk to that girl you like? He's like, Dad, you won't go talk to that dude you want to talk to. You're afraid to send somebody a message on freaking social media just to say hi, but you're telling me I need to go out in the world and do this. When you're doing the thing and you're telling them how you're doing it, you're like you said, Anthony, there is no fear because you're like, I know this is possible because I'm living it. And again, back to my point way earlier, I know the world's going to be good because my world is good and my kids are going to build this in their world too. I know that's possible. I'm literally living it. But these guys who are shells of who they were, maybe they were a stud and then marriage life made them a little more comfortable. It's just, it happens. And if you don't have a network to pull you out of it, you can fall pretty far. But if you start to build yourself back up, you're like, I know I can come back from this. So when you're talking to your kids, when they're down, they get injured, something happens. Hey, I've been there and I came back and I know you can too. But if you got injured and you stayed down in the dumps, you don't have a motivational story for them. You don't have an example for them to follow because you're like, yeah, it's over, kid. Just like me. Welcome to the club. No, hell no. Like my aim is to be the grandfather, man, that's still like chasing my grandkids and they're trying to keep up, dude. Like I have pretty ambitious goals and I'm going to hit them, or I'm gonna die trying. Like that's the only thing that's gonna stop me, man. Like literally death. Like there's nothing that can stop me but that. And when I look at it, that's why I think my kids are confident. I think that's why they're positive. There's a lot of shit going on in the world. I live in the same world as you guys, but I'm not sitting here like, oh, everything sucks. The economy, politics. Dude, I don't give a shit. That's for the big world to deal with. Inside my home, the lights are shining bright, the laughters are loud, and the love is there. It's overflowing. And so that's why we're the way we are, man. I have to live that way if I want them to live that way and know it's possible and show them as an adult, you keep grinding. When I came back today, they were so happy to see me. I came back, Anthony's daughter made some cookies. The kids are over the moon. My daughter, I was like, hey, I got some sourdough started. Like, they're to the moon because they see my dad has friends. My dad goes out and he still connects with people and he'll go out and do things. But when he comes back, he's happy. Obviously, I'm bringing gifts, so that helps too. But they're just like, man, my dad's so cool. And at the dinner table, we're having conversations. It's not like a browbeaten man sitting at the dinner table like, oh, everything sucks. I hate my job. I hate my life. My knees hurt. Like,
hate my kids.
Come on, dude. Yeah. Like how many times can you say that at dinner table before the kids start to listen? Like, okay, so when I'm an adult, life sucks. Can't wait to grow up.
Well, here's the harsh reality, right? Everything that we see in our children is a reflection of us. So when you really have that anger, frustration, contempt geared or reflected onto your kids, what you're really telling yourself is there are things you don't like about you. There are things that you have not got squared away. There's things that need to be fixed from within. And I think that's something a lot of fathers avoid. Because if we're going to sit here and talk about all the good things that we see in our kids and how it's all from us, you have to believe that the opposite is true.
Yep.
And it's a cold, hard truth, man. When you see your kids a certain way, that comes from you, right? Well, obviously there's two parents involved usually, right? That's how I think these things work. But that's something you have to deal with as a man. You have to face it. It's just another obstacle in your way. So leave it on a positive note.
We're gonna do around the horn. So we'll see what the last messages bring out. Sometimes they go on a rant. Sometimes like, let's wrap it up. So Brad, if you had, honestly, it was awesome to meet you, man. Like I said, I'm looking forward to connecting beyond this. So I'll be hitting you up. But any parting words for those who've listened or those who are looking to start the journey? They're like, hey, man, like I see you, I hear you guys. I'm right there. Words of encouragement, guidance. Any advice you'd have to offer.
Yeah, one of the things that I was reflecting on while you were talking about, and we've mentioned the idea of putting in reps. One of the things that I firmly believe is you don't honor what you don't sacrifice for. So what are you willing to sacrifice to give your kids, give your family a better life? Is it joining FOE, putting in the money? Is it waking up early, joining us in the cigar room? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to make that next PR happen in your life? And one of the things I really love, I don't think I've heard you say it like this before, Justin. You keep calling your kids a living legacy. I think as men, most of us, or at least I will say, I in times past was just focusing on making sure that I left an inheritance for my kids. The difference is them getting things. Legacy is about transferring values, and that encouraged me, man. Thank you for that.
That's awesome, Corey.
Man, I'll just say, listen to your kids. Like, take time to just sit down and listen to them. And you guys, you rehash this all the time. I sit down and listen to them, because if you don't, they start to just become a nuisance. Like, oh man, I just wish the kids would go to bed so I can watch a movie. Oh man, they're in the way. Oh man, I need a break. Just listen to them, and even more importantly, listen to yourself. You're not going to bullshit yourself internally. That internal monologue, that still small voice that's telling you to get the fuck out of bed, I failed the test the first 2 nights of this week. Oh man, it's 5 a.m. I need to roll out. Oh, I'll just hit snooze. Next thing you know, it's 6:45. I'm running late to work. So you just need to stop and listen, dude. That's all I've got to say.
No, it's good. Honestly, it's those little moments that make actually the bigger moments because you actually know who you're working with. A lot of people don't even know their kids, man. So it might have been direct, but that is actually a much larger point that I think you're giving it credit. A lot of people don't even know what's going on in their kids' life. They don't even know their kids. That like they know that they exist, and that's kind of like where it starts and ends. Like I have children. Yeah, like what are they like? You don't even know. You just send them away from you. You don't sit and listen to what's going on in their head. So solid point, man. Justin, for you, I've had up, I don't know if you guys can see it, but on the bottom, to join you guys in Cigar Room, I had them DMing you or Corey. But for guys that might want to join this and your closing points, what do you got for the good people?
Yeah, so I'll start with the Cigar Room first. Look, we're doing it twice a month. It's out on Corey's Twitter page. It's on mine at Justin L. Copeland for Twitter, and then Justin Copeland _ on Instagram. And look, it is for everybody. If you've enjoyed what we're doing here, you're going to get a good dose of Zac and Anthony and myself and Corey in the Cigar Room. And I can tell you right now, it has encouraged me and made me a better man. It's made me a better parent. It's made me a better friend being associated and working with these guys. Every face you see on the screen right now, it's changed me. The Cigar Room is for that. I don't care where you're at. I don't care how together you think. If you've got it all together, please fucking come in and talk to us so that we can get to where you're at, right? Like, please share that. Give the love. As far as the parenting goes, you hear a lot of parents say, I do anything for my kids. My kids are the best thing in my life. But yet, too often you see them getting pushed to the side, right? You get those conversations. I don't necessarily know how to connect with my kids. I've missed out on this. Well, if those first two statements are true, then cherish it. Go after that time with them, right? I can tell you right now where I beat myself up the most is when I felt like I've been lazy, when I've been complacent. I haven't been present as a father, because it can be easy to shut up in the room and watch TV or read a book or whatever. It's too easy. But I'll regret that. And I can promise you, as all these guys right here will tell you, you will never regret spending as much time with your children while they're children as possible, right? And so be present. Zac says it all the time, presence over presence, right? Get in, get hooked up, get into these groups, because if you don't know how, I can guarantee you somebody on this screen is going to give you an idea of how to better your existence with your wife, with yourself, and with your children. I want to say this too. I want to thank every guy on this, because I appreciate you guys for allowing me to be on this platform with you. I appreciate the message. And I just got kicked out. I'm good. Okay, good. But I appreciate you guys.
We got you back.
It was too much power, man.
I took it all out.
It couldn't handle it. All the energy you were bringing. Anthony,
that's it.
This is our third panel, man. It's our third group. This was your idea.
This is good, man.
It's been fantastic. Like every time, I'm like more and more floored to see men just being as open as they are. And I'm talking like they're not here, but like these guys, they just share the real story, and it's why we do what we do. We were talking a lot about that. I made the trip your way and got to sit down. We had a lot of discussions on why we're running Oak and Rock, why we're doing this thing, and to just see these fathers doing this. I see your vision, and it's just cool as shit to see that playing out for the world to see.
Yeah, man. No, listen, I appreciate these guys coming on. This is the Cigar Room. We had Dad Twitter on. We had FOE. We've had a lot of fathers on, showing the world what goes on behind closed doors, what we're actually doing. This isn't just stuff we're posting on social media. We're really living this. We're doing it in our homes. We're sharing with each other as men how we're improving our lives. And I honestly don't think there's anything in the world that can get in that way, right? Once this keeps going, there's going to be more and more dads. And, I've said this before, but this is how you change the world. This is how things happen, right? It's not going to happen from voting somebody in. It's not going to happen from a poll online. It's going to happen from really going out and making connections, talking to men, raising our kids peacefully, raising our kids better. And the one parenting tip I'll throw out is, if you want your kids to listen to you and to behave well, connect with them. That's all you need to do.
My final point will be this. Justin set it up. I'm going to spike it down. A lot of parents do say, I would do anything for my kids. I would die for my kids. What we're asking you to do is to live for them. Be your best self. Embody that. Actualize the things that you're saying you want for them. I want the best for my kids. Then be the best self you can be. Live for them. Live your best life. You might not have had the perfect track record to this point, but tomorrow's a new day. And it's not about who you were, because who you were doesn't dictate who you become. So what happened, that happened. But today, you listen to this. Don't just listen, apply it. Dude, these kids need you. They need you specifically, not us. But you can gain a lot from us to give to them. And that'll be the best possible gift you could possibly give them in life. So do that. This is our third panel on Oak and Rock with the Cigar Room. I look forward to seeing those who watch this and join us Saturday. I'll see you that morning, cigar in hand. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. I cannot put into words my appreciation for you opening up and letting us inside your worlds and inside your families. Thank you again, Anthony. Another one down, brother. For everybody that tuned in, make sure you like, subscribe, and then shortly after this, I'll be having all of these guys links to their content so you can check them out. Make sure you're following them, because we got a discussion here. They're producing a lot more outside in the world. So be sure to follow that, support it, and boost it, because if you want to see the world change to be something better, you got to support the change you're seeing that's better. And that's what these guys are bringing. So stay well. This has been another episode on Oak and Rock Fatherhood.